The firefighter suddenly noticed something terrifying. The wildfire had shifted direction and was heading straight for the village. But instead of rushing to put it out, he lit a match, watching the flame burn down to his fingers. That's when it hit him. This fire was completely out of control. He immediately told the villagers to evacuate in an orderly way, but they didn't take it seriously. They'd rather soak their houses with water than leave. As the wildfire got closer, panic finally set in, and the villagers started running. But just then, the main road got cut off by roaring flames. As the fire chief, the man knew time was running out. There was only one rescue helicopter, so he had to make the tough call to let the women and kids go first. The rest of the villagers had to take their chances, heading through the forest to reach a river 4 kilometers away. But there was a problem. The car was too heavy for the helicopter to lift. They needed to lose 200 kilograms. Left with no other choice, the mothers tearfully said goodbye to their kids. After the pilot gave it everything he had, the helicopter finally managed to take off. Thick smoke turned day into night, and the kids sat in the car, terrified out of their minds. Curly tried to calm them down, but then one of the ropes holding the car snapped. The car swung wildly, scaring the kids even more. They were so close to their destination, but the pilot couldn't ignore the danger. Without wasting time, he found a clearing and prepared to get the kids aboard. In the middle of the chaos, Curly jumped out, unhooked the rope, and rushed the kids onto the helicopter. But when the pilot tried to lift off again, the helicopter wouldn't budge. No matter how hard he tried, it wasn't working. Time was running out, so Curly started throwing out everything he could: fire extinguishers, supplies, even his favorite guitar. But shockingly, the helicopter still couldn't take off. Out of options, Curly told the pilot to dump a ton of fuel from the tank since they had a backup. Then, he grabbed a fire extinguisher and started putting out nearby flames to buy them more time. Finally, everyone got on the helicopter, but it was barely hovering 2 meters above the ground. It still wasn't enough. Curly took off his shoes, stripped off his clothes, but it didn't make a difference. With the fire closing in on the fuel, Curly made a huge decision. He told the kids to close their eyes and said, "When I count to 3, a miracle will happen." And sure enough, it did. The helicopter finally lifted off. When the kids opened their eyes, Curly was gone. He had jumped out to save more lives. Standing in the firelight, Curly showed no fear, and the raging flames swallowed everything, including Curly himself. Meanwhile, the fire chief was leading the villagers on an emergency escape to the river 4 kilometers away. On the way, they watched their homes burn to ashes, and their sorrow was overwhelming. But they had no choice. They had to keep moving. Not long after, they got trapped. Even the seasoned chief was stunned. They were stuck, and time was running out. Luckily, the river was just 300 meters away. The chief made a desperate decision. He tied a rope to mark the path and went to find an exit. His plan was to fire a flare so everyone could follow the marked route to safety. And so began a race against time. The chief charged through the fire, marking the path as he ran non-stop. The journey was full of danger. Flames raged through the forest, smoke was suffocating, and falling trees could crush him at any moment. Fortunately, he wasn't seriously hurt and kept going. But then, he ran into an even bigger wall of fire. Even so, he didn't back down. He pulled his hood tight, gripped his axe, and hacked his way through the flames. After all his effort, he finally reached the river. But the smoke was so thick, he couldn't open his eyes. He didn't waste a second and fired the flare. But to his disbelief, it was a dud. The hope that had just sparked was instantly crushed. He collapsed to the ground, helpless and defeated.